So Paris looks great. I don't know when it last looked great, but now it looks great again. You know why? Because it's on fire. It's returning to nature. We are the virus. Anyway, I thought I'd just... people who don't know why it went on, over the Christmas period, Paris just erupted in flames for unknown reasons. We'll soon...
Someone lit a match, someone left the oven on, it just happens.
I don't know, yeah.
And it was a bakery, like the Fire of London.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys with the baguette sword fighting, and all of a sudden they
one crazy madman set the baguette on fire, and it just goes from there.
Something like that. We'll get into it. It's actually a rather sad story, but it is what Paris is like these days. We'll start off just with something else, though, being the contemplations on lotuses.com, of course, on Christmas traditions. Because, of course, it is a Christmas tradition for the French to cock everything up, as they always do. But if you want to go find out the Anglo-Saxon ones, go and check that one out. I think he also talks about some of the other ones as well, but do go enjoy. Otherwise, we shall begin with the news. The news started off with, in Paris, shooting. Which,
Good start.
Yeah, normal start, I suppose.
Wait a second. I spy with my little eye a flag.
Beginning with red.
A very red flag right there.
Yeah, so here's the news. All right, serious face, because serious story for a minute. Paris shooting, 3 dead and several injured in attack. And you'll notice the commie flag. A gunman has opened fire in central Paris, killing 3 people and wounding 3 others. A suspect, age 69, was quickly arrested, and it soon emerged that he had been freed from prison recently. He was asked why he conducted this attack. It seems to be a racist-motivated attack, in this case against Kurds. And so this French outlet, called Le Parisien, asked the dude, why'd you do it? And they say, according to a police source, the suspect purportedly told the police during his arrest that he did not like Kurds. So there you are. Also, a year before, he attacked a migrant camp with a saber.
Okay, saber, just going old school.
Yeah, I don't quite understand what he was planning, but he was jailed for that.
So
rightfully.
William M., I'm assuming he's a Paris native.
Yes, he's that kind of chap. He's also a bit of a loon. So
I can tell.
Yeah,
we do not support this kind of behaviour.
Yeah, attacked a migrant camp with a saber, which was strange, and then was sent to jail, and then was released after about a year, and then immediately was just like, you remember those Kurds? I don't like them, and went out and did this attack as well. So there you have it. And you would think, okay, well, white supremacist attacks do happen. Like, I don't know if he's a white supremacist or just like anti-foreigner. There are distinctions to be made there, but whatever. We'll just go with it for now, which is, xenophobic attack. Right. Don't know if it's just that, and if it was just that, the response you would expect would be some flowers, some conversations about this sort of thing, if you were living in a normal world. But of course, we live in clown world. So out came the communists to do what they do best. And the thing is, you can see here, the response was to burn down the city for like 2 days.
How will we protect our precious Kurds? Destroy their neighbourhoods.
Yeah, except, of course, this is the burning down of Paris by Kurds who... I don't really understand the logic.
So the Kurds decided to come out and say, see, we're no threat at all.
Yeah, well, by blaming the French police for this, which wasn't their fault, obviously.
It sounds as though this man was arrested, though.
Yeah, like he served his time in jail for the first crime, comes out, commits a second crime, was then arrested, is sent to jail for the rest of his life.
Sounds open and shut to me.
Yeah, you would have thought, but whatever. Paris has witnessed a second day of violent unrest after Friday's deadly attack on the city's Kurdish community. Protesters who gathered on Saturday overturned cars, setting some on fire, and hurled objects at the police. Officers responded by firing tear gas. That's the BBC's version of events. It's a lot worse. The funny thing is, for people who are not familiar with this dichotomy, basically, Paris is usually on fire for some reason or another, or some violent protest, and it's been going on for, I don't know, like 200, 300 years.
Since the French Revolution, really.
Yeah, so I can't even blame the BBC, frankly, for this, which is their reporting on such things is usually like, some stuff happened in Paris, They don't usually go into too many details.
I mean, did you watch the Grand Tour episode where they just kept... The recurring joke was that French people kept showing up and just burning stuff down?
Yeah.
Throughout the whole episode.
I mean, this is a routine event, except, of course, the dichotomy and the situation here is rather strange. Local guy kills a bunch of Kurdish people, and you think, okay, day of mourning or whatever, as you might expect. But no, instead, full-on riots for 2 days where you burn down police cars and attack the French police, which is not usually what you do.
No, it's awful that this kind of tension has to exist within the city, because back in the day, my family and I used to go on holiday to Paris for New Year's Eve, and I don't think we'll be doing that anymore. Yeah,
a lot of people have noted how it isn't how Paris used to be as well, of course. If we move forward, we'll go to the PKK, because this is the funny intersect here, because, of course, the French communists want to relay this purely in terms of race, which is weird, because Anglo-Saxon way of doing things. But whatever. They got slapped down, though, because the Turks turned up, to be like, hang on a minute, something's gone wrong. What was the thing that went wrong? The PKK flags at the protests. People who don't know what the PKK is, it's a Kurdish Communist Party. I think it's like the Workers' Party of Kurdistan or whatever in Turkey. They're declared a terrorist organization in Turkey, in France, in all of the EU, in the UK, the United States, etc. Because they kind of are.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah,
you show up and burn down a city, and all of a sudden you're branded a terrorist.
Well, not just that. Like a lot of mines and car bombs and blowing up civilians.
Imagine.
Typical separatist things, let's say. Anyway, the quote in here is interesting because Turkey said they expect France to act prudently over the incident and not to allow the banned PKK terrorist organization to advance its sneaky agenda in response to these riots. And the reason for that being that a bunch of the Kurds turned up with PKK flags, which is a crime in France as well.
And then they started burning stuff down.
Yes.
This doesn't seem that sneaky.
No, it's not very sneaky. You are correct about that.
Solid Snake does not approve.
No. And again, just like, okay, why are we having all these weird Turkish conflicts in Europe? But whatever. We'll go to the next one here because you can see there's more on this. This is someone complaining, while slashing migrants with a sword last year, today's Paris gunman declared he was fed up with foreigners. That's a direct quote from him. And went on to kill 3. This white supremacist terrorism is largely underreported and underaddressed in Europe. Thing is, this is bull, and I wanted to go through why this is bull, because it is actually quite an interesting time of the year, which is the Global Terrorism Index is out. I don't know if you're familiar with the Global Terrorism Index.
I've not looked into it myself.
My favourite document, because it dispels so many myths that people have about such things. This comes out every year and just details, here's all the terrorist attacks, here's who did them, here's why, and here's where.
Vast majority by American white supremacist terrorist cells, I assume.
Yeah. I mean, it's all Carl Rittenhouse.
Yeah. I mean, he was notorious. Did you know he crossed state lines?
I did indeed. Thing is, it's not them. If you go to the next image here, just some screenshots I took out to make the point. Here you have the 4 deadliest terrorist organizations in 2021, going into 2022. No themes whatsoever. We have Al-Shabaab, Islamic State, the Taliban, I can't remember how you pronounce their name, but it ends in Muslim. That one, JNIM there, and then unknown and other terrorist groups, which are...
If only I could recognise patterns.
No, I can't recognise patterns either. Anyway, we go to the next one because we have incidents and deaths in the West by ideology, and this is why I'm going over this, because I'm sick of people like that previous account holder who was like, oh my god, white supremacism goes unrelated and unreported in the West. It's such a huge problem. It's like 2 feet in the mud. Get in reality for a minute, lady.
Honestly, I'm looking at this. I'm shocked that there is such a level of honesty coming from these documents, because you would expect whichever organisation is doing this terrorist report would probably swing one way or the other. Whereas this just looks like it's trying to actually present objective facts, which shouldn't be shocking.
There is a reason
but
I
is
use
shocking.
them, which is I don't sense any political bias from these reports. They just like, here's the data, and
because you can see as soon as it gets to 2015, tiny little uptick, far left violence. 2016, getting there, bam. 2017.
What happened there? Donald Trump.
I wonder, and it seems that far right violence just sort of ebbs and flows, wanes, but in the most recent years, it's been going down massively.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of people got spooked by like, oh my god, far right violence is coming back, but it died very quickly. Far left violence, however, is just consistent. The difference is between both of these is far left violence is very non-lethal because they're crap at it.
I mean, I have seen a number of hilarious Twitter videos of people failing to beat white people up.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that they're crap at it. No one dies, but...
they're crap at it, but then they get to burn down cities without consequence.
That's the dichotomy. Just a whole side note about terrorism, which is that I remember reading some thread about the guys who took part in the Ukrainian Maidan overthrowing there.
Oh, yeah.
And the way they put it was just like, well, you can basically do what you want as long as you don't kill anyone in violence, political violence. And
okay.
As long as the police aren't dying and your protesters are dying, then it's like politically wise, which is horrific. And don't do any of that, obviously, but
it seems to apply in the West as well. In that case, just looking at something like Chaz. Chaz was something set up. It destroyed neighborhoods, yada yada yada. They let it exist until all of a sudden people started showing up dead.
Like if a terrorist organization such as far left terrorists here want to gain some kind of modicum of support within the legacy media and so forth, that's the tactic, and that's the one they took because they are less good at killing people.
I would say that 2020 far left violence is probably being undercounted massively, but
Yeah, just look at 2021 there, though. It's like the far right. What are they?
Well, but I thought
Go
I thought there was an insurrection
Yeah.
in 2021. And what about all of those Patriot Front rallies?
We got the weapons of choice as well, just some more data. I know this is taking a bit of a side road to the news in Paris, but just because I'm interested in it. There you have it. There's incidents, just a high resolution, far left versus far right. And if you go to the next one here, I think we have the weapons of choice. Far left is usually Molotovs, basically, and those are not very effective at killing people. They're effective at ruining lives. So there's that. Anyway, back to the city of romance, because a lot of people took note of the Christmas in Paris, which was very romantic, I'm sure, such as Dominic Tajinski, who was like, yeah, things are going well. For people listening, we're just looking at footage of local Kurds fighting French police. For what exactly?
I love ethnic conflicts just being brought into our cities.
For what reason? Listen, I'm sorry for a minute, but remember how things have to make sense sometimes, or should?
Well,
what have the French police done?
Some would have you believe that we need to bring these people in for pure economic efficiency, GDP percentage point growth of up to like 0.1 to 0.5%, which makes all of this worth it, surely.
The thing to keep in mind, and we'll go for it, I noticed there were some people already screaming, which is just, think of what the French people have been through in Paris, terrorism-wise.
Back in, wasn't it 2017?
A lot, every year.
Eagles of Death Metal, I think it was.
They still have the police marching in the streets in every tourist location.
Yeah.
For some reason, who knows? Whereas these guys, I mean, yeah, horrible. But, 3 guys die in a terrorist attack, and this is the response. Just open violence and rioting. Yeah, the next one here, we can see more of that, which is some guy smashing up, if you go on the left video, it's the one I'd like to show, just if you click on it, we don't need the audio. But it's just them smashing up a bus station. If you can click on that one, just to make it bigger, just because it's hilarious in the sense of, like, what are you doing with your lives? Like, they're just smashing up a bus stop because the bus is racist or something.
Maybe they were asked to sit at the back of it.
No.
I doubt it.
No, just local boys.
I think these people, as always with anything like this, these people are angry, they're vandals, they just want to smash stuff, and the ideological veil just gives them an excuse.
Yeah, and there's a lot of PKK flags has been noted, but also if you go to the next one here, we can see the commies turning up. This is the most famous image of, like, just chaos. It's come out of it.
Modern Paris, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, Paris having a normal Christmas. Anyway, and the thing is, totally normal. Of course, if you go to the next one here, like, totally normal things. Why wouldn't you just do this? David Vance making the point, which is, thank goodness for diversity. Because as much as you can be upset about the terrorist incident, which, yeah, rightfully, it's bad. Shock. I know. But if you go to, let's say, the proportionate response we have from Europeans to such terrorism, should we take a look at that? Should we take a look at the horrible things?
Well, I mean, I think
Europeans
the proportionate response was we arrested him, he goes to prison. Sorted.
Yeah. And what I'm annoyed about in the West is we don't have a serious conversation in the political realm about why. But I'm not upset that we don't go out and start burning down cars, because why? If you go to the next one here, we can see just this is what happened in response to the Reading stabbing. Where I was just like, yeah, okay, let's put flowers, one for the loss. Guy goes to jail forever. And something I had to note was I saw one footage of a Kurdish man who was very, very upset and was justifying why he was out destroying things. As you can see there, of course, there's a trans account who's like, support for my Kurdish comrades.
I'm shocked that there isn't a Ukraine flag there.
Bro, ask your Kurdish comrades what they think of those 2 flags in your profile. Anyway, but he's arguing here, there's some subtitles where he's just explaining, well, in 10 years in Paris, 6 Kurds have been killed by French people in racist attacks against us. A whole 6 Kurdish people.
Oh my goodness.
I can't believe such horrible things happen in Paris. And if you go to the next link, please, I don't know who's going to tell him. Not me. Presumably no one in his house. No one in his family knows.
No one within about a 6 feet radius of him.
No?
Within arm's length. I wouldn't tell him.
I mean, unless he's been there for, 2 years? I mean, even then, there's been several attacks. I mean, I don't know what to say.
No, this is just the West's response to these things, sadly. Similar things happen in Manchester. Manchester, the very next day, goes, oh, don't look back in anger. We must forgive and forget.
That's not good enough? Because it's like, we need to have a conversation about this. The correct response is not to burn down all of Manchester. I don't think Manchester police...
Well, I'm glad that people didn't all of a sudden just decide to burn down Manchester in response to the bombings.
Yeah, that would be pretty weird as well.
It would be very strange.
And,
it's more of a Liverpool thing, maybe.
Perhaps. But the thing is as well, it's just like, well, I just... Yeah, okay. And I guess we'll see what the response is to the different tactics. But whatever. Just, sorry, can't get over it. Can't get over it. It's just like a whole 6 people... If you go back, I just like he's so indignant, like he's so angry, and just like I'm in the right here because 6 people have been killed in terrorist attacks. If you scroll down just the subtitles, it's like we're doing
for you so that you can sleep quiet at home, but you couldn't protect us here. 2 times in 10 years, 3-3. It's not normal.
We're angry. It's not normal.
People got murdered in the city. I'm sorry, it's awful.
Like the 3-3 there is 3 people were killed 10 years ago and 3 people were killed this year.
Oh, it's a systematic oppression.
Unbelievable how just crime-ridden Paris is for Kurdish people and no one else. Anyway, we'll move forward. We'll go to another one here because the thing about the PKK flags is not untrue either. See David reporting here that not only were there a lot of PKK flags and supporters in the riots, they were also joined by Antifa, which is not new. If you go to the next one here, I can confirm that because there are a load of Antifa accounts being like, hey, this is great. This is fantastic. I actually see Rita posting here. This is a great point.
I'm sorry, that's such a petty thing to do. They're literally just kicking down the tiny little fence post around a tree.
You can see the Antifa and Kurdish flags in the background as well. People who are...
Yeah. And what is the point of such violence other than for the sake of itself?
Then our community's been attacked. I mean, this is a fundamental mindset difference between what I'm going to... Again, I know this is lazy, but I'm going to do it, which is the East versus the West thing that I thought about a lot. Like, the West as a concept, like, I don't know, let's say the French, the English, the Americans, the Canadians, this part, right? Whenever there's something happens, we're far less tribal in our response. And that can't be said, and this isn't a dig either, that can't be said of, like, Serbians or Turks or Russians, right? Like, they're far more tribal in the response of, like, you do something bad to us, we're going to cause some bad things.
Yeah,
like,
it's the attitude of an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us.
Yeah.
Whereas in the West, and I would say this is a massive weakness we don't have that because it's so sort of individualistic in its conception. Attack on him is just an attack on him. Who cares? Even if the person who attacked him hates me as well because he perceives me as part of the same group.
Again, I'm not even saying it's a good or bad thing. There are pluses and minuses to both, obviously, about the tribal mindset difference, but it certainly is the case the West doesn't have it. That's for sure. If we go to the next one here, we can see, just to mention as well, yeah, supporting the PKK is a crime. A proper crime. A terrorist crime, in case you're wondering, as well. Even in France.
It seems like it didn't really do much, seeing as how many of them are out on the streets in Paris right now.
No, I'm just mentioning UK law here because it's the easiest to hand, which is, quote, to invite support for a prescribed organisation, the support invited need not be material support, but can even be moral support. That's a crime. And if we go to the legislation itself, it's even more explicit.
Is this just a warning to any Kurdish communists who might be fans of the channel watching right now?
No.
Be careful, lads.
Just if you see it, I mean, do your duty.
All right.
Is, if a person commits an offence, if the person expresses an opinion or belief that is supportive of a prescribed organisation, and in doing so recklessly as to whether the person or whom the expression is directed will be encouraged to support prescribed organisation. That's how we live. That's the law here. It's just a description of things as they are, which it's not just us either. If you go to the next one, just list here, like it's across much of the world, the entire West, including Turkey as well, which is the reasons for all that. And if you go to the last one here, we can see a Turkish MP who came out and was just like, this is all just Turkish terrorists, no sympathy, don't care, which is like, oh god. Like, I can't imagine a French MP responding this way.
No,
I don't think they would be allowed to, as well.
Well, that would be the thing, wouldn't it? Because the laws would get applied asymmetrically.
Yeah, I imagine the conversation in French political circles is like, well, we best be on like our most understanding behaviour of the violence instead of being like, quit that. Like, either you're part of the West or you're not.
Yeah, but it is nice that the police are fighting back at least.
Yeah, French police are used to having a scuffle,
to
say the least. Anyway, it just says in here, it's quite straightforward as well. It's just like, yeah, they're a bunch of terrorists, don't care. We told those who remain silent about Turkey's fight against terrorism. Terrorism is like a boomerang. One day it'll return and hit you. The snake you feed in your bosom will bite you one day. Just like, okay.
I like the poetic language, not going to lie.
Yeah, that's just his response. Anyway, last thing to mention is about the Antifa stuff as well, which is true, just for people who are unaware. I think this is something that needs to be wider known. As you can see there, just Antifa accounts supporting the people out there committing violence, and also saying, well, they're Turkish comrades, because they're all a bunch of commies. Not my favourite. And that's not a new thing either. This is entirely run-of-the-mill. And if you go to the last one here, this just happened. This happened in Reading. Michael was there. You remember this. This is a pub in Reading, once upon a time, that had been taken over by Turkish Antifa communists whilst I was living there.
How did they manage to get hold of it? Was it the landlord or something?
No, the thing was just abandoned because I think they were trying to sell it. And
okay,
these scumbags,
communist squatters.
yeah, these
showed up.
scumbags just broke in, like ruined the place. Don't know if you can pause the audio and play. I don't know if I have some other video of the inside there when we went together, but like inside you can see they like scrawled their crappy graffiti all over the damn thing. It's just a pain in the ass. But anyway, it's not new, is my point, of Antifa and communist Kurds
Very, very far from new.
holding hands. But either way, there's Paris for you, which is great. It's fantastic. I'm sure people will love it if you want to go there this time of year. Don't. Paris isn't Paris anymore, as a great man once said.
Thanks very much for watching that segment from the podcast Lotus Eaters, and I hope you're having a very Merry Christmas right now. If you enjoyed that and want more, you can become a member on our website for as little as £5 per month to get access to all of our premium content, including a recent book club that Connor and I did on Robert Nozick's Anarchy, State and Utopia. And if you want to find out more of what Connor is doing on a day-to-day basis, you can follow him over at Getter at @Con_Tomlinson. Thank you and take care.